Hi, welcome to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. Today I'm going to be participating in a Sew Your Stash collaboration hosted by MomDas Handmade. And for this, I am going to be making some fabric tulips. So to begin with, all I did was I took a piece of printer paper, folded it in half, and I just went and drew on a tulip, a half of a tulip on to my printer paper. Then I cut that out, and then when I open that paper up, you can see that the tulip is perfectly symmetrical then. And that's what you want, is a nice symmetrical tulip when we're doing this. Then instead of using my stash of material, I decided to show you that you don't really need a stash of material. I'm using just an old shirt right here. This is an old tank top that nobody wears anymore or doesn't get worn anymore. So all I'm doing is I'm loosely cutting out a good sized square all the way around my tulip. Then once I have it into an easier size, and this is 2 layers, the front and the back of my shirt, now I'm going to just go ahead and put the front on the bottom side and the back on the top side. And you can see by the seam there, now the inside seam is sticking out on both directions, on top and bottom. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm just using a little Sharpie here. This is a fine tip Sharpie, and I'm going to go ahead and trace right around this tulip. Now, if it's too hard to actually draw a straight line, you can do dots, whatever you need to do to go ahead and trace right around your pattern to get it onto your fabric. And then all we're going to do is cut that right out. Just like that. Now you can go ahead and pin your fabrics together and everything to cut it out if that would make it easier for you. But I'm trying to show you that you don't have to. You don't have to have special fabric. You don't have to have a lot of special things. I'm really trying to show you that you can use anything to sew, that you don't need a lot of special things. And so this is going to be done completely by hand. This is a great project if you have a daughter or somebody who wants to learn how to sew, or if you're just learning how to sew for the first time. Right now, when everybody's on lockdown because of this virus going around and everything, this is a really fun thing to do with your kids, or just do something on your own and just have something really pretty afterwards. That's super simple to do. Now, like I said, you can go ahead and pin it all down together, just like I'm doing here. And so I'm showing you that. But again, if you don't have pins, it's perfectly fine. This isn't a huge project where you can't, like, by just holding it together, you can't keep these 2 little pieces of material together. So whichever way you feel more comfortable with, this is the perfect project for you. Now, how we're going to sew it is just a little needle and thread by hand. And all you have to do is start out, and we're going to do what is called a running stitch. And that's just, we're going in and out and in and out, going back and forth with your material, just taking very tiny stitches, because we're going to stuff this tulip. And so we don't want our stuffing to come out. So just little tiny stitches like this. They don't have to all be the exact same size. They don't have to be perfect. And you can see how I have several stitches right here on the needle at once. Once you get a few stitches, however many you want on there, then just go ahead and pull your needle and your thread all the way through your material. Just like that. Like I said, this is just to show you that you don't need to have like any type of specialty material or specialty anything. You can sew and make really great projects with whatever you have. Now again, we're just going to start right where we had just pulled it off, or pulled our thread through, and we're Again, just making a bunch of little tiny stitches back and forth, back and forth. That's as easy as what this stitch gets. And that's all that your sewing machine is doing, is making these little tiny stitches just like this. It's just your sewing machine is doing it very precise and making sure every little stitch is exactly spaced even. This is just hand stitching. You're just being the sewing machine yourself. And if not every one of your stitches are perfectly even, it's okay. All you're trying to do is make sure that when we stuff this, that the batting doesn't come out. So as long as your stitches are small enough that any batting or whatever stuffing you want to use inside there doesn't come out, then you've done it fine and you're doing great. So you can see here how many stitches I have on the needle. Now you can just do one stitch at a time on your needle, or you can do several stitches like what I'm doing right here. Whatever feels the most comfortable to you, that is exactly perfect for you. And once you get them on there, see how I'm just kind of pulling that and stretching those stitches out a little bit? That's just to make sure that the material isn't all bunched up. And we're going to work our way all the way around until we have about a 1-inch opening or so left before we get right back to where we began at on our tulip. And you're going to begin your stitches at the bottom of your tulip and work your way all the way around your tulip doing this. Just like that. Now you can see this doesn't take any time at all. In just a couple minutes, you will have gone all the way around your tulip. And you can see here, my stitches aren't perfectly straight. They're not perfectly even. So if you can do this, you can make a great project. And this is something, like I said, that can be really fun to do with your kids while the kids are all home from school. Now what we're going to do is with that last inch, now we didn't even take the thread and needle off from or disconnect it from our tulip yet. We're just having that set on the table right there. And now we're going to turn our tulip inside out, or right side out actually. So through that little opening that we left there, just go ahead and turn your tulip right side out, making sure you get all the way to the ends of each of the little petals of your tulip. And again, this doesn't have to be perfect. Just pull it till you think it looks good, and that will be good enough. And you're just turning each little individual petal of your tulip. You're turning it inside out just like that. It's super easy to do. And you're only going to have 3 petals on your tulips. Super. And then once you have each of the petals turned right side out, then just turn the rest of it. And there you have it. Just like that. It almost looks like a duck's foot or something. And like I said, it doesn't matter what your material is, whatever you happen to have for an old shirt or something that you're not wearing anymore, or some old material, whatever it is, it can be patterned, it can be solid, it doesn't matter. Now this is what's called batting, and we're just going to fill it with batting. Now you may be thinking you don't have batting because you're not a sewer, and so you don't have that. It's okay. You can do the same thing if you have some cotton balls. Just pull your cotton balls apart like this, like you see me doing with the batting, and go ahead and stuff it with some cotton balls. Another thing you can do if you don't have cotton balls and you don't have this type of batting, if you happen to have a dog who has chew toys and has chewed a toy all up, throw the toy through the washing machine, or an old stuffed animal of one of the kids. And then you can take the stuffing out of the old chew toy or out of an old stuffed animal, and it will work just fine. All that is the exact same type of thing. Just make sure you wash it good if you're going to use an old chew toy of your dog's or something, because you don't want them to still smell their scent on it and think, oh, you've just made them a new chew toy. And now we're just going ahead and we're stuffing our tulip here, and make sure you stuff it all the way down right into each of the petals here. Now once you get it all stuffed, then we're just going to go ahead and we're going to sew shut right along that bottom. Now when you're sewing shut this bottom, leave a little tiny gap. When you're sewing right along the bottom, leave about 1/4 of an inch gap right there. Just sew right up until you get right to the center. Then instead of making another tiny stitch, make a little bit bigger stitch, about 1/4 of an inch. And then go ahead and pick up on the other side of that with your small stitches again until you get all the way across. And now we're just going to put a knot in it right here. Just like this. And now it looks like we have just this little tiny, it almost looks like a little pillow, a little tulip pillow. How about a little tulip pillow? It's just this little tiny stuffed tulip. And we cut our thread off, and now you can see that little hole. The reason we left that little hole there is because our hot glue tip is going to go right down inside there. Now just make sure that you don't burn yourself while doing it. Just put your tip right down inside there and squeeze some of your hot glue in there. And now I'm just using like a little skewer stick that I got from the grocery store, and I'm just poking that right inside there, and that's going to be the stick for our tulip. Now if you don't have this type of skewer stick, you can use anything. You could go out to the outside and even pick up just a little tiny stick off from a tree or a branch, just a little tiny stick. You can literally use anything. It doesn't even matter. Now once you have your stick in there, and that will dry really quick with that hot glue, then what I did is I just took this little piece of ribbon and I cut this ribbon at 16 inches. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and tie a regular bow, just like as if you were tying your shoe, into our ribbon. But to begin with, we're going to do it very loose down here towards the stick. We're not going to tighten it yet. What we're going to do before we tighten it is we're just going to put a dab of hot glue right there at the top of our stick where our stick and our tulip come together. And now we're going to tighten it right over that hot glue. That's going to make sure that our ribbon doesn't come off. Now we're just holding that for just a second. And as you know, that hot glue dries super quick. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and finish making that into a little tiny bow, just like as if you were tying your shoes. And like I said, this is such a quick and easy project. If you need something to do with your kids while they're home from school, while everybody's stuck indoors, this is a really great project to do with them. And you can just use old clothes that nobody's wearing anymore for these. It can be patterned, it can be solid, it can be different types of material. It doesn't really matter. And you can see we just put our little ribbon on there, and that looks so cute. Now here's a little blue one that I did, and you can see that this is a totally different type of material. This is also an old tank top, but this is a ribbed one. So, and it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to show you that it doesn't matter what type of material it is. you can do this. And now we have our stick in there again. And we're just giving that a second to dry. Now all we're going to do is we have a little orange ribbon on this one. We're going to do the exact same thing. Again, it is cut at 16 inches. And I'm going to go ahead and start to tie it up just like as if I'm tying my shoe. I'm going to take it down till almost where it's going to get tightened. And then I'm going to stop, put a dab of hot glue right there at the top, right where my stick and my tulip come together, and then I'm going to tighten that ribbon down, give it just a second to dry, and now I'm going to go ahead and just tie my bow in the top of my ribbon. Just like that. These also make great little gifts for your kids to give to their grandma for Mother's Day or just for a teacher. These are just great little gift things, and I'm going to show you at the end of this video how I went ahead and used these as well. Now here's my purple one I'm holding. Here's the blue one we just got done. And you can see just having different colors with different ribbons, they look so cute. And I did one more. So I'm going to just show you one more quick one right here. This is just kind of a faded orange color. This is just a regular t-shirt material. This was a regular t-shirt. And so again, this is different material. Each one of these are a little bit different types of material. So I just wanted to show you that really whatever type of material you have, you can do this. And again, I just left that little gap right there at the very bottom so I could put my hot glue gun tip right in there, squirt some hot glue in there, and then just go ahead and shove my skewer stick right in there. And that way, I do it that way so that when I shove my stick up in there, it's catching that glue all the way up as I'm pushing the stick up in there, and that way it's just going to hold it really tight. And here's our orange one, and this is just like a faded orange color. Grabbing my ribbon here, and again, this is 16 inches long. And we're going to wrap it right around the top here. And then again, we're just going to go ahead and tighten it almost to the end, almost to where it meets. And then before we tighten it tight, we're going to go ahead and put that dab of hot glue right where our tulip and our stick come together. Just like that. And now we're waiting just a second there for that hot glue to cool down. And now we're going to go ahead and tie our bow in this yellow ribbon. And just like that, we now have 3 tulips that took just literally minutes to make. And they look so cute. Let me get this down here where you can see it in the camera. And what I'm doing on this one, I just have this old metal teapot. This is just a really old metal teapot that my mom always had around. I'm just going to go ahead and set this little piece of floral foam down inside there. This is just a little piece I got from Dollar Tree. Now you can see I'm just going to go ahead and stab that right down in our floral foam, just like that. Now I did not want to hot glue my foam into this teapot, so I have this bush of just floral leaves that I have. I've already used all the flowers off from it for something else. So I'm just pushing all these leaves up at the top. I don't even care that the sticks are showing. I'm just going to go ahead and poke those leaves down in this pot. It's going to help take up some of that room and just make it a lot easier to just kind of control where I'm putting these little tulips at. Just like that. I think it's looking really cute. I love the different color ribbons with the tulips and then with the greenery right there. And I have this rabbit that I also got at the Dollar Tree just before we went on lockdown. I think I'm going to go ahead and just cut this rabbit stem right down. This is just a little garden stake that Dollar Tree had. I'm going to go ahead and cut this down, and I'm going to put this right in the back, right between these two tulips. I'm thinking the colors of our rabbit are going to look perfect with the shirts that I happen to have that we cut up for this. I think this is going to look great. And now I think I'll just go ahead and put this purple one right here in the front. Now I may need to cut this down just a little bit more. I was thinking about putting it in the back, and I kept the stick a little bit longer than what it needed to be. There, I think that's going to be a lot better. Now I'm going to go ahead and just poke that right down in our foam here. I'm liking that. You can't even really see the sticks on the greenery. And you know, I have some of these Dollar Tree eggs that I picked up the other day. And since it's almost Easter, I think I might add in a few of these eggs in here too. Since we have the bunny and we have the tulips, I think those will look great. I'm going to just open up this package of them. Now I already used some of these eggs in one of my tablescapes. I used it in the centerpiece for one of my tablescapes. So I'm glad that I bought two different packages here, and I'm just going to cut this down a little bit further. I think some of these bright, colorful eggs are going to just look great in here with our hand-sewn tulips. And something like this will just look really cute as just a little decor piece. Something like this would also be just really cute and really great if you want to give it as a gift for a grandmother or somebody special, a teacher or somebody. This would look great setting on somebody's desk. Just so Eastery, or if you don't want the Easter portion of it because Easter will be over before we know it, you can always take the eggs and the bunny out and just leave the different tulips in there. I am thinking this is absolutely adorable. I'm loving it. Now, like I said, I did not go ahead and hot glue the foam in there because I didn't want that foam to be in here permanently. But whatever you're going to put the foam in, if you decide to do this, if you hot glue it, it will be much more stable and it won't wiggle back and forth like what this one's doing. Now, once I'm done playing around with this, then it won't be wiggling around anymore. And there we have it. I think it is absolutely adorable. Let me take and get you a better shot of it where you can see the full bunny. And there he is. There's our tulips that we just made with our bunny and our eggs. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, I'd really appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell so you'll be notified the next time I upload a video. Thanks so much for watching.